Everett Howard, award-winning wrestler and his team's captain, seen in his element here. His parents, Travana and Everett Howard Sr., say this was his passion.
When you hit the mat, everything depends on you. Can't nobody help you out of the situation but you.
And the Howards say they raised Everett to respect authority to make him successful.
He knew authority.
Yes.
His records, his awards, his community involvement, what he did speaks for himself. The police is actually the people that are in the schools, and they know Everett as being a good and upstanding young man. They never had trouble with Everett.
They say the kid they raised in College Hill was going to go to college. It's why they enrolled him in the Upward Bound College Prep Summer Program at UC.
We both weren't able to go to school, and we preach school, preach grade. I just think how we sacrificed and we worked hard to get our son for school and overtime and working days and working nights. We sacrificed because we wanted what we didn't have, and we wanted what was best for him.
Everett actually graduated from the Upward Bound program the night before he died. That night, a report of a fight on campus brought in UC police, and according to them, Everett ignored a warning to back off, so an officer tased him with an X-26 taser, a weapon that fires 2 probes which send an electric current into the body to incapacitate a subject.
Sometimes I'm just broke to think on what my son's body went through with that.
The Hamilton County Coroner's Office has not yet released a cause of death. Channel 9 has learned the delay may be because the taser, like this one, used in the incident more than 10 weeks ago, has still not been tested for its electrical output. Ohio's Bureau of Criminal Investigations, under Attorney General Mike DeWine, has been charged with finding a lab to test the output. BCI wants to send it to a lab in Canada, but says the process is being stalled by customs issues. I asked Ohio Attorney General Mike DeWine why we have to send this weapon outside of the country.
The Canadian company has been referred to us by many people, and we have checked this out. We believe that they have the expertise to do it.
But 9 News took a closer look at how the Canadian lab will test the weapon and had some serious questions concerning whether this lab will be able to accurately measure how much power came out of the weapon. If you read the testing procedure protocol they would follow, it states, the authors give no warranty or representation of any kind whatsoever that the recommendations contained in this report are comprehensive. The testing procedure also includes this graphic that shows the energy that comes from the weapon, called the waveform. It has 2 parts, the arc phase, the quick high voltage phase, and the main phase, the longer low voltage phase. The people who wrote the protocol say their information will primarily come from this lower energy phase. Why? They state that because of potential equipment limitations, measurements of the peak voltage, peak current, and charge of the arc phase may be in error. Mike Leonasio tests tasers regularly for law enforcement at his lab in Northern California. I asked him to weigh in.
They specifically talk about some equipment not having the capabilities of measuring that high voltage spike. We don't have that problem. The equipment that we utilize has no issues with that whatsoever. We can record actually the entire waveform.
Leonasio says he began testing weapons in response to news reports in Canada that weapons were failing tests there. In one case, the Royal Canadian Mounted Patrol pulls hundreds of tasers after 80% fail tests.
CBC and Radio-Canada commissioned the largest independent electrical test on the weapons.
In another case, the Canadian Broadcast Company, CBC, had an accredited lab test 44 X-26 tasers in current use by U.S. police officers.
Results revealed that 4 tasers delivered higher electrical charges, at times up to 50% higher than the manufacturer's specification.
I think what they proved was what I've seen as well. They showed a significant percentage of devices that were outside of manufacturer's specs.
Taser International, which makes the X26 Taser, challenged the method of testing done. In fact, at an inquiry into a death in Canada following a tasing, Taser co-founder Tom Smith testified that the weapons didn't need testing.
The device is calibrated such that it cannot output any more power than it's running at 100%. So we do not recommend testing the output.
Why is it important to test and measure these weapons?
Well, it's important because we need to know what this weapon is doing. And to kind of put it into context a little bit, it's not uncommon in law enforcement for us to test equipment. Radar guns are tested on a regular basis. Blood alcohol testers are tested on a regular basis.
But not tasers, which send electricity into human beings with the intent to incapacitate them. Don't we need some uniform way of testing these weapons so that we can be perfectly accurate and protect people who might be hit by them?
Well, again, what we have to do is to go to the best place we can find, and that's what we're doing.
Attorney Al Gerhardstein represents the Howards.
Any testing that's a waste of time is just that. It's a waste of time. If it's going to delay an answer to these parents, it shouldn't be done. The right thing should be done. And if we're this far down the road on tasers and we still don't know how to test them in order to make sure they're safe for deployment into peaceful civilians, then we better get on this as quickly as possible and do more to protect citizens.
I'm not for taking tasers off the street. I'm for reform, I'm for training, I'm for safety, honesty, tell the truth.
It's showtime at the International Association of Chiefs of Police Conference. And you can't miss Taser International's booth.
Julie O'Neill, WCPO TV Cincinnati. How are you?
Taser CEO Rick Smith shows us Taser's newest weapon for sale.
So this is the new Taser X2.
Among its new safety features, he says, it precisely controls the weapon's electrical current.
This is measuring the electrical charge of every pulse as it comes out of the device.
And Smith says the new Taser includes an option for an automatic shutoff.
You'll hear it 4 seconds, it'll sound an alert, and then it'll shut off. So it alerts the officer, then it shuts off, and they would have to re-trigger the device at that point in time.
The safety advances of the new weapon deal directly with concerns over the one used on UC Upward-bound student Everett Howard before he died in August, and used by police agencies across the tri-state. And it's the same model weapon involved in the most damaging court ruling against Taser International to date. This past summer, a jury awarding the family of 17-year-old Daryl Turner $10 million, ruling Taser knew its weapon could kill and didn't tell police.
Taser has said it can't happen with Taser equipment because the pulses are too short, the energy is insufficient, and it can't capture the heart. That's absolutely, totally wrong.
Dr. Douglas Zipes is an electrophysiologist specializing in heart rhythm. He's published hundreds of articles and won numerous awards for his knowledge of clinical cardiology. The cardioverter he invented is keeping former Vice President Dick Cheney's heart ticking. And he says his testimony against Taser in the Turner case convinced the jury.
I think they believe me that indeed Taser can produce cardiac arrest and did in this particular instance.
March 2008, court records reveal store clerk Daryl Turner is tased for 37 seconds until he falls and soon dies. The cause? Dr. Zipes says adrenaline may have already spiked Turner's heart rate, but he says the Taser spiked it beyond what it could handle. And Dr. Zipes says where the two Taser darts hit is key.
The Taser darts need to, in some way, span part of the heart or be close enough to the heart so that the electricity traveling between the two darts is able to reach the heart itself and capture the heart. One of the important ingredients as to why somebody dies and someone else doesn't is the duration of the taser shock.
Attorney John Burton tried the Turner case.
Do you think the officer involved in that tasing knew that tasers could kill or did not?
Oh, he absolutely did not know that tasers could kill. He never would have used the device in such a trivial setting had he understood what the real risks were. That's why the jury did what it did.
Taser International has appealed the Turner decision.
Do you believe in the Charlotte case, because of the prolonged stun, that is what killed Turner, that it's possible the taser was causal in his death, or no?
Look, we look at that case, and that is one case that certainly is one we're concerned about, and that's one of the reasons that we do warn trying to avoid chest shots.
Dr. Zipes says it's tough to prove a taser caused a death because a dead body doesn't show the presence of electricity, but
I stumble on why did the sudden death occur exactly when the taser shocks were going into the body. To say that that's not causally related, I think becomes ridiculous.
Maybe we shouldn't talk about a plaintiff's expert that's paid $1,200 an hour to testify against the technology.
I would argue that Taser, number one, should fess up to the fact that it can produce cardiac arrest. Number two, that law enforcement should be educated to this possibility, and that they should not use the Taser weapon in a haphazard, freewheeling fashion.
This is your weapon. You helped design it. You invented it.
Yep.
So you care about it being safe as much as possible, I assume.
Absolutely.
Okay. So but why wouldn't you err on the side of caution and say, in rare circumstances, in the chest, a prolonged shot could increase the risk. Make sure your officers know this exists so they're ready to take medical action.
We absolutely do that. In our training and our warnings, you can download them from our website.
on Taser's website, the summary conclusion, do Taser ECDs affect the heart, states, there is no reliable published data that proves Taser ECDs negatively affect the heart. And if you ask the CEO,
do you recognize that in rare circumstances that the taser can affect the heart?
There's no evidence that supports that it affects the heart in humans. There is evidence that it has happened in pigs.
Yet on Taser's liability release form, under known and potential side effects, you'll see heart rate rhythm capture.